Let's do this.
Podcast. Two guys talking without wearing pants. Pantless. Podcast. You can take our ideas.
Welcome back to the Pantless podcast. Here's your. I'm
Austin.
Austin.
No, you're not Austin. I'm Austin.
I'm Travis. He's Austin.
And you're Travis.
I don't know what we're doing here. I'm lost. I had it all in my head what I was gonna do there.
It's a new thing. We went a long time doing it the old way,
My
and this
plan
is
was
the
to
new
say,
way.
I'm Austin, and you were gonna be like, and I fumbled the ball on that one. Speaking of fumble the ball, how you doing today?
Man, I feel really, really good. I think I'm going to do better than 8th place this year.
What are we talking about?
Fantasy football. We just drafted.
We did.
You forgot?
No.
Were you on auto draft?
I was not.
Shame.
I was not.
Did we have anybody auto draft the whole route?
Yep. The dabblers.
Oh, the dabblers. He was the first champion ever.
He was on auto draft.
Oh, snap. Well, he might be the first to get purged next year.
Whoever that is, I've never met the person. I probably have at B-dubs a couple times. Not very active in chats and movements and what's not. But after saying that, that might have been a lie, because let me see here. Nope. Has not moved anything on the roster yet. The Kings have made 2 moves. Flint and Buffalo have made 2 moves, and I've made 4 moves.
Already?
These aren't free. No, these are changing from bench moves.
Oh, you can see if you swap players from your bench?
Uh-huh.
How do you see that? I want to see that.
Go to league.
Uh-huh.
Transaction counter. It tells it shows how many trades have been done, how many acquisitions, how many players they've dropped, and then active. It shows how many roster moves you've made inside your own roster.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what activate means, like moving bench players.
How many players you've activated off your bench?
Okay, that's cool. I like that. That's gonna help. That's gonna help our purge for next year.
Yes. So in MLB in baseball.
Yeah.
So I have 249 activations. You are behind me at 190.
That's impressive.
And then Mark and David are at 156 and 152, and nobody else is over 100. There are 2 teams that have made 0.
And the 4 of us are all in the playoffs, right?
I didn't make playoffs in MLB.
You didn't make playoffs.
I missed it by a game. I needed you to beat Mark in the final week, and I would have made playoffs and he wouldn't have.
If I beat Mark, wouldn't you have been in like a 3 or 4-way tie?
We'd have been in a 4-way tie for first place. I think Kelly would have taken the division lead, and Mark would have dropped out of playoffs after leading the division the whole season. Mark would have fell out of playoffs, and I would have come in as the 5th seed.
Wow.
Because I think Sean and Kelly both had tiebreakers on me. We all 3 tied. Mark was a game up on us. If I would have won one game throughout the season, if one of my losses I could have flipped to a win, I could name about 2 of them that I lost by only like a handful of points. I would have beat both of them and been like the 3rd seed.
Man.
That's after going 0-5 at the beginning of the season. I ended up 10-9. I'm pretty frustrated. I'm going to have to give away my trophy. I'm going to have to go dig it out. Like I got buried on the table. But yeah. Yes, but that's how you can tell.
Well, that's really cool. I knew you could see like how many trades or free agent pickups, but maybe that was actually the thing that I was looking at was counting all of that in.
Need to Yeah, because you can tell who all there's a couple players, there's two teams here that acquired no free agents, uh, no no active bench moves, and no ILs, with zeros on all of that.
Mm,
That might get that we may have to cut from MLB next season.
yeah, yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. Just know we're looking at these things now. We are looking to legitimize the Pantless Fantasy League. No more cupcake games. No offense to Chansey, but that's kind of what she was every season.
Yeah,
Except
WNBA.
that one, except that 1 year in hockey where she was like amazing.
Yeah,
But that was kind of a fluke.
we need to keep an eye on that when it comes back.
Yes, absolutely.
When does basketball start back?
That's coming up in October, November, I believe.
I was about to say, yeah, and hockey should be kicking off pretty soon.
Hockey will be pretty soon. Yeah.
Well, I know that it always seems like they both start and end together. Their seasons are pretty close, so
Hockey is a long season. It's crazy long.
well, so is MLB. Baseball's.
Yes.
I don't even know how they get 162 games done in a year, and it not being a full year.
Yeah. I don't know.
I want to say, NASCAR, they only have 2 months of off season.
Yeah.
About 2.5 months. They end in mid-November, and they start in mid-late February. They only have December and January fully as off months. They run 36 weeks with one off week in the middle. So, what are you doing?
I was seasoned. I had to throw myself on mute. You couldn't hear it. So I'm good at my job.
You need to let us hear that so we can, some people probably really enjoy hearing that.
No, that's like reverse ASMR. But I'm gonna mute again because I'm gonna do it again.
There it is. There it is. Does he know where he is? I don't think he does. He looks a little bit lost.
I think I'm gonna be okay. I'm trying to determine if I need another one or not. And I think I'm good. Yay.
All right.
All right.
I need to find a good sneeze effect. Every time you do that,
I put myself on mute, but you push a sneeze button. Oh,
hey, what do you know new?
So what do I know new is not breaking news, right? Have you heard of?
Hey, can
Because
be.
I've got breaking news too, but what do I know new? There's a band out there.
Ooh, I do like a band.
I just saw them start popping up on YouTube out of nowhere. They're called Holy Name. Have you heard of them?
Sound familiar.
I think they're new, but the video that popped up, and most of the videos look like they're set in the same setting, but it's got the guy from Sleeping Giants, and it's like a super heavy. The instrumentals are super heavy, but his vocals are like really clean, and it's worship, but to extremely heavy music.
You said Holy Name?
Yeah, so the song I heard was called Falling on Your Knees. But it was, like I said, it was extremely heavy.
Ooh, no space. Interesting.
Yeah, no space. Extremely heavy. But it was just really like watching the guy. It was like he was performing
Oh, I see what this
just
is.
for himself. It was crazy. And then that falling on your knees. Brian Welch from Korn was playing guitar during the whole song.
This isn't really a band. This is
Oh,
a
it's not?
project. In addition to
Okay.
Tom Green and Joe Holt, the Holy Name Project features mixing and mastering by Ryan Laturu, additional voices from the Rev Gang Choir, Book Greaves of Impending Doom, just a bunch of.
Mhm.
Just it. Oh yeah, Ryan Clark of Demon Hunter, Mike Felker from of Convictions. So yeah, this is like it's almost like a bunch of Christian metalheads got together and was like, hey, let's just do something.
Yeah.
And just it's almost I'm trying to think of what this would almost be like. It'd almost be like back in the day with Temple of the Dog, or like when just two bands just got together and was like, hey, let's make some music. But that was a tribute band. That's completely different. What was the other one? Hell Yeah. You remember the group Hell Yeah from the early
No,
2000s?
I don't. I don't think I've ever heard of them.
It was like a smattering of like 4 or 5 guys from different. I think it was like Guns N' Roses and who else was in that one? They released a couple albums.
Interesting. Okay.
They were called a super group.
All right. Kind of like a perfect circle.
Yeah, another one of those. Yeah, but these were considered back in the day super groups, which I guess you could call Holy Name a super group. But it doesn't look like they have like a set lineup. It looks like they just bring in different people every time for different songs.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I just noticed that there was like a bunch of stuff, but it was just all looked like it was on. They were just filming all these guys on stage, and it was like, here's their music video, and then here's this other music video, but it was the same setting. They're in the same location, wearing the same outfits, but performing another song. It was basically like a concert for nobody, but they're just for YouTube. They're recording all of these songs. Interesting. It was interesting. Interesting.
I'll have to check them out.
Check them out for sure.
Put them on our Spotify playlist if they're on there.
Spotify, done and done. And I'm adding Moth by Hell Yeah from their Blood for Blood album too.
Interesting combo of bands to be putting on it.
Yeah, right. So that brings us to 195 songs on our Spotify playlist.
Nice.
13 hours and 19 minutes. I mean, we're getting really close to being able to be a cross-country playlist. We're about there. I think we've got about 5-6 more hours. I need to look up how long did it take to drive from San Diego, California to Portland, Maine. And that's got to be like the longest drive, right? Not counting going to Alaska. That would be
I'd
crazy.
almost think from Maine to like if you went from no from up think of this, Alaska down to Key West, Florida.
Can we do how
There's a
long
lot
does
of-
it
There's a lot of people that do motorcycle rides up into Alaska. They'll up through Canada, up through the mountains to Alaska. I guess that's like a very popular kind of a run they do. So what would from Alaska to the tip of Florida?
So we're not even going to go not even from the tip of Alaska. We're going to go from Anchorage, which is
no, I'm not. I didn't even say the tip. I just said from Alaska.
so
You already
to drive from Anchorage, Alaska to Key West, Florida, 83 hours and 34 minutes.
yeah.
That is insane.
That's a little over a day, isn't it?
It's a little bit, yeah. And that's just drive time. That's not even stopping to sleep. I mean, I probably would only be able to drive 12 to 14 hours every day. So that's going to take me a week of driving to make that happen. And I would be exhausted. And it looks like most of your trip is probably through Canada. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
man,
Oh, that
Ma-
trip looks crazy.
imagine just imagine that trip. I mean, the sights you're gonna see on that trip.
Oh, I bet it's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
I bet it's gorgeous. But exhausting.
Because one of my favorite parts of the country is Montana. I love Montana. One of these days, I will. That's probably where I'm going to retire to.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, the trip you'll be in Canada until you'll be so far east in Canada, you'll drop into North Dakota. So you won't even go through Montana.
See, I would change that trip.
Just like I'll take the extra. I'll drive 87 hours.
Yeah. Who's going to North Dakota?
Oh man, that's crazy. Wow.
Well, we know that new.
Yeah. Breaking news. Breaking news. Can I do that? Are we good?
You can do whatever you want. It's half of your show.
Okay. Bob Barker has passed away at the age of 99.
Again?
He passed away for the first time.
For the last time.
And the last time, yeah. Yeah, he's done. He's done.
I thought he already...
But man, he lasted a long time. That's crazy.
Oh. Today?
Yeah. Yeah, this is breaking news. Breaking news.
He was 99?
Yep, he was just
He missed it?
4 months?
December 12th, he would have been 100.
Yep, he was 4 months away. 3.5 months away.
Man.
Yeah. We remember Barker. We remember Happy Gilmore punching him in the face.
He'll be...
The price is wrong.
Price is wrong, Bob.
Oh,
do you remember him on Truth or Consequences?
I don't
remember that
think
show?
So. I don't think so.
It ran in the from the 60s to the... Oh, no, it started in the 50s and ended in 88. Oh, it started in 1940. Ended in 1988.
Was it a game show?
Like
before he was on Price is Right?
Contestants must answer a trivia question correctly or face the consequences by performing a zany and embarrassing stunt.
How funny. How crazy.
Yeah. I don't know when he was on it. But could have been at any point of that because he was born in 23. So, I mean... Oh, he was on Truth and Consequences from 56 to 75.
Wow. That makes sense.
He was on Oh, he ran Price is Right from 72 to 07. How crazy is that? That's a show I remember. I used to watch the crap out of that show.
For sure. For sure.
Oh, so what else we got?
I think that's about it.
We want to make this a quickin'. This is gonna be
Make it a quick one. Let's go.
Quickie. We've been going for a bit.
I was gonna say it feels like we've been kind of chatting for a little bit.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like we've talked about much. But let's
Retro movie review.
Whoa!
Nailed
Whatever
it,
you
that-
did, that was fantastic. Whatever you're doing now
What am I doing now?
is sweet to my ears. That was perfect.
It wasn't. It was good.
That-
I didn't fumble that one. Chitty
That
Chitty
was
Bang Bang.
Yes.
And our Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, we love you. Our
Yeah.
four-fingered friend. I hate that song. It's too like it doesn't phonetically make sense, and it's too stupid catchy.
Yeah, it's I always saw on the because I watch it on Amazon
I did
Video.
too.
I'm sure. Yeah. Did you look at the little trivia
I did.
available? There was some astronaut who in space, that was the song that played whenever she was waking up. She had that song, the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang theme song was her song to wake up to every day. Or is it a day when you're, what is it called when you're in space? They don't have days and nights.
I mean,
Whenever
they're still
every
orbiting the sun, so they would still have, but they're still orbiting the Earth. I don't cycles.
cycles, yeah, I like that. Every cycle that she woke up to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang theme song.
Nice. I like
What a
it.
movie.
It was a. If you boil it down, it's a weird movie.
I haven't seen it in a long time,
It's been forever.
and
I realize.
yeah, I did not realize how weird of a movie it was until I just watched it.
From the grandpa. He was my favorite part.
It was fantastic.
To let's see here, the opening with the racing was I like that. That was my favorite part of the movie.
Of course,
Was the racing? Well,
I mean that was the birth of NASCAR, sir.
that was just the birth of that was the birth
Racing.
of motorsports.
Yeah.
First, well, history here. I follow. I like to read a lot of history on this. From the time humans were making something that would self-propelled with wheels, they were racing them. Like the first land speed record was set at like 5 mile an hour, 10 mile an hour, with like a half a horsepower engine.
That's fantastic.
But before that, when we were riding horses, we were racing horses, racing chariots. Humans have been racing each other on things that don't propel them, that we don't,
yeah.
that aren't our own two legs, since the beginning of time.
Yeah. I bet from the time, like, I bet humans are racing each other, like, rolling down hills or something. Not even on wheels, just, like, let's lay down on Neanderthals 20,000 years ago. Or, like, let's roll. Yeah. Let's roll. Who gets to the bottom first? Let's go.
Throwing their children down hills to see who can get their children down.
Which
one falls faster?
Yeah. Put them in sacks, let them slide down the mountain, let them sled down a snowy slope.
You're too nice. What? Who was using sacks? But yeah, from the beginning of the just then you're if you look too much into it, the whole second half of the movie is all him telling a story.
Yeah, it's all make believe. I never knew it was make believe until I just watched it, and then I'm like, this whole second half is not real.
It's not. Yeah, because I was always trying to. I'm sitting there trying to figure out doesn't this movie end with? This doesn't make sense. How do they get there? And then, even when he started the story and the ship shows up and starts attacking him, I'm like, wait a minute, is this happening? I started questioning it, but then when they were in Bulgaria,
yeah,
I'm like, okay,
yep.
This seems a bit out there. But I will admit that Dick Van Dyke's character, and I can only imagine as we get into these critics, the critics getting it wrong on what I think about that character.
Interesting. Okay.
So, and then just the musical numbers are awesome in this.
Yeah. I was really impressed with Dick Van Dyke's dancing,
Yeah.
and I wondered, did he, because he was a
Was he on
big
ropes?
he would well I know when he was a toy he was for sure,
No, that was all
but
him. Muscle control.
yeah, that was Michael
Cables.
Jackson. Michael
Cables.
Jackson learned from him, but was he hired because he was a big star? Because he was a huge star back then, or was he hired because of his ability to dance? Because he had a lot of dance numbers where he had some.
Some pretty
He did.
interesting.
He had some stuff I wouldn't be able to do.
The old bamboo.
Yeah, and so I just wonder, did they pick him because it was him, and then they tailored the character around his abilities, or did they pick him because the character required his abilities?
Well,
We may not know.
how far into his career was this? 68.
So this was well after the Dick Van Dyke Show, which I think that was 50s, right?
was it?
I believe. Don't know. Don't quote me.
When did he do? So this was 68. Yeah, Dick Van Dyke Show was 61 to 66.
Mm.
So yeah, this would have been. But he was Mary Poppins in 64.
Okay. Yeah, he was a big deal.
Yeah.
He was a big deal. What was his first movie? Was it Mary Poppins?
That might have been his first movie.
Let's see. Ooh, he was a sketch actor on the Ed Sullivan Show in '59.
Nice.
He was in a Hitchcock Presents episode in 1960. So I think Bye Bye Birdie was his first movie in '63. Mary Poppins was his third movie. But yeah,
Right.
by Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, he was pretty established.
Yeah. Of course, Diagnosis Murder is my favorite thing of his. By far. Well, that's what I've seen. That's what I've watched most of him.
Really?
I mean, that was playing on all the rerun shows when I was a child.
See, I was a Dick Van Dyke kid. That was what I watched whenever it was on Nick at Night.
I didn't have Nick at Night growing up.
Ah, okay.
Um,
I was a fan. I was one of those weird kids, and like black and white Dick Van Dyke, loved it.
yeah. We didn't get satellite. We never had cable TV growing up. I lived out in the country. We didn't live in the city, so we didn't get cable TV.
Makes sense. Yeah.
We had we had something called Pioneer TV back in the mid 90s, which eventually became DirecTV, and then is what it is now. But it was a satellite dish on the top of the house.
Fantastic news that I saw from it just started this week. AT&T and some other phone company are laying fiber in my neighborhood. I'm getting fiber, sir. I don't know how long it takes to lay it, but they've got all the giant spools of orange cables. They're handing out flyers saying, "We're going to be digging in your yard," and there's flags all over the place.
I hope you don't run into the same problem I ran into.
We're not speaking of problems, sir. It's just going to be perfect.
We went over budget laying just the lines in the ground, that now only certain people that paid us money up front are getting this fiber, and everyone else have to wait until we recoup some losses. That's what happened to us.
Gross.
So, hey, let's get into what some critics have been saying about this.
Yeah, what do they say about it?
So, 6 critics on Metacritic.
I bet that's not very many critics. This is going to be a tough one to judge.
It is.
I I can't imagine that they didn't like the movie. It's a
I can
classic.
imagine that.
I'm gonna guess that they thought it was a 71.
You know, that's a good guess. I would have went higher, but they went lower. It was a 64.
Oh, okay.
And I think I might know why, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Okay.
7 users out of 10. Not
Now
many.
the man, yeah, not very much.
Well,
7,
you gotta
man,
think that Metacritic probably didn't exist when this movie came out.
that's true. That's true. Um, I'm gonna say, the critics didn't give it the 70. I'm gonna say the users gave it a 7.1.
You would think that as well. But again, you might be wrong. 5.3.
Really? Wow.
So, all right.
Wow.
So, critics 3 positive, 3 mixed. Users 2 positive, 3 mixed, 2 negative. Let's get. Yep, this is all 6 of them. We'll read them all. Empire gave it an 80. That's the highest score. The film is too long at well over 2 hours, but the effects are impressive for the time and the musical numbers zippy. I will admit it was. I'm like, wow, 2 hours. I had to watch this in 2 stints.
Well, did you notice they actually gave you? It was a very long movie, and they gave you an intermission.
I should have stopped it there and then started it back up later.
Right?
I got to about 30, right about the time that they the Zeppelin had the grandpa and he landed, and then I paused it there. That was about the last 30, 40 minutes of the movie.
That scene, the grandpa really reminded me of the Cowardly Lion from the Wizard of Oz in that scene. I don't know why. I was getting Cowardly Lion vibes so much that I looked it up and I'm like, did he play the Cowardly Lion?
He did not.
He didn't.
No.
But it was enough that I looked at it.
Okay, so the Chicago Sun-Times gave it a 75. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang contains about the best 2-hour children's movie you could hope for, with a marvelous magical auto and lots of adventure and a nutty old grandpa and a mean baron and some funny dances and a couple of moments when you've just got to cover your face and peek between your fingers. It's so scary. Okay. New York Times gave it a 70. A fast, dense, friendly children's musical with something of the joys of singing together on a team bus on the way to a game. I'm not going to read all these. Some of these are just word vomit. Time Out gave it a 40, the lowest score.
Okay.
Ken Adams' sets are inventive, but the special effects are shoddy, the songs insanely forgettable, and the allegedly length and exquisite torture. I don't know. I don't agree with the songs being forgettable. All those songs are catchy as crap. I thought the special effects were good.
I was really impressed with the special effects for when they made this movie. I didn't think they had that technology, like the green screen type.
It was all green screened, and now it looked. I would imagine in the '60s it would have been, oh, that looks like magic.
Yeah.
Now you can tell it's green screen. Watching it now, for the time, if you were watching this in the late '60s through the '70s, you'd have been thinking, like, how did they do this?
Yeah.
They used magic. Because kind of the shimmering of the green screen kind of made it look magical.
Yeah.
And the engineering that they had to use to make that car grow wings, or because that wasn't special effects.
Yeah. That was
How
was
many
impressive.
of those cars did they have to? They had to at least have 2 or 3 of those cars. Because when it turns into a boat, the wheels are actually. If you look, the wheels go up, but they're also spinning the whole time. They're in the.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I didn't notice they were spinning.
The front tires and the rear tires they're like spinning like tops. I will admit that it's funny when they were dancing in the bakery in the candy shop, and they were all around those carts spinning, you could look down on the ground and you could see a pedestal with a pole going up through those carts as they were spinning on them.
Oh, I didn't see it.
My brain, I mean, as we've been watching these movies,
Yeah, I didn't see that
I
one.
watch these with more of a critic's eye, looking for just small things. It's like, not really, I'm not going to ding this movie for that. Because my brain goes, how are you spinning around this cart and it not, how are you doing that around what, because I've been in food service before. These carts are very tippy. They're going to tip over if you even try to swing on them.
Right.
Like, stop looking at that. Ruining the movie. What does Common Sense Media have to say?
All right. So this one's interesting. Our reviewer for this movie is none other than Common Sense Media.
What?
It's I guess it's a collective or something. It is. I looked at it. I clicked on the little information button, and it just says it's Common Sense Media reviewers, writers, editors, and child development experts that are
Nice.
trained in parenting advice. So this is a hodgepodge of people, I guess, putting in their 2 cents. This is the first time ever that I can think of that it wasn't one person; it was a group of people. But Common Sense Media says ages 6 and older, 4 out of 5. A fantastical car story, custom made for kids. Parents say 6 and older, 4 out of 5. And kids say 6 and older, 4 out of 5. Everybody agrees. 6 and older, 4 out of 5.
Nice.
Let's jump right in. First category, educational value. What do you think about this, sir? What kind of educational value?
I'm only going to give that one a 2. I'm trying to think of what educational value you could get out of this movie.
So they said very little. They gave it a 1.
Okay, so they're on the same thought process as me. Okay.
Fascinating footage of early auto races showing cars in the early 1900s. An array of inventions created by Mr. Potts include early versions of a vacuum cleaner, hydroplane, and many more. So there's that. What about positive messages?
Now, this is where I think we're going to differ. I would almost give this one a 5 out of 5.
Really? Okay.
No, positive message. Let's actually go with a 4 on that one. I'm getting
You say
ahead of
4?
myself. 4. Message 4.
Common Sense Media agrees a lot. 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
There's a beauty and worth to be found in everyone. The most valuable part of life is having people to love and care for and being loved and cared for in return. Even failure can be a positive experience if you learn from your mistakes. Themes include curiosity and perseverance.
Yeah.
So we'll move right on to positive role models.
That's the one I'd give a 5. The father is in my opinion, even though he's a bit eccentric, he's a great single father.
Yeah. Well, positive role models, some. 3 out of 5.
What? See, I told you this is where they would disagree with me.
So here's their explanation as why they only give it a 3. You ready for this?
He's a neglectful individual.
Mr. Potts is a hero to his children. He's more creative than successful, more loving than responsible, and he fills their simple needs in unorthodox ways. Jemima and Jeremy are happy, unselfish, bright, and loyal.
Mm-hmm. That's a 5 to me.
Right?
Show me better. In a movie, show me better.
That gives you a 3 when you have a bunch of Common Sense Media people doing this together.
I want to know.
There was not one negative thing in there whatsoever. And they're like, he was awesome. He was fantastic. His kids were happy. He was great. 3.
Yeah.
Okay. What? We have nobody to judge except Common Sense Media, the organization.
Well, they have failed us.
So here's another rare category: diverse representations.
Not present.
They said very little. They gave it a 1.
Well, there wasn't much.
So the villains who lived in a land called Vulgaria are bumbling Germanic stereotypes, most of them elderly, snobbish white men with pointy noses and creepy costumes. The cast is almost entirely white, and fat characters are villains. Female character Truly Scrumptious is smart and practical and has an independent, no-nonsense approach to life. So there you go. Too many fat white people. How dare they?
That's what was in movies back then.
All right. So how about violence and scariness?
I'd have gave a 1.
They gave it a 2.
Yeah, they did.
And it's possible. I can maybe see this. All of the action is exaggerated and cartoonish. No one is injured or killed. A couple of minor car crashes. One car catches on fire. An experiment with a rocket ends when it sparks and catches fire, briefly putting its inventor at risk. In a fantasy story within a story, the Pods and friends end up in danger in a fictional kingdom. Many pratfalls, pirate attacks, a baroness is shot into the sky and retrieved by cannons shot, letting the air out of her billowing skirt. A character in his outhouse like hideaway is carried away by a zeppelin. Dynamite explosion. There's a creepy child catcher who uses candy to lure children into cages, as well as 2 villains who try lots of cartoon measures to capture the Potts family. One has a hook. And a long comic battle between soldiers and the heroes who fight alongside an army of children. The child catcher was pretty creepy, in my opinion. I'd give him that. He was kind of cool.
The Baron and Baroness were hilarious. Their dynamic, but the whole their dance number where they're like trying to kill, where he's trying to like offer,
Yeah.
like, and especially that scene whenever she gets launched up in the air, and he's like trying to get her down with a shotgun.
That one scene, did you know? I noticed, I don't know if you noticed, when she actually landed in the water, you could see the water from, she fell from a helicopter, and you could see the propeller.
Oh, I didn't
the,
even notice.
The weight
ripples in the water.
Yeah, from the propeller of the helicopter when she landed. And it wasn't there when they did the other scene of her like coming out of the water. So you could tell like they dropped her from a helicopter.
That's hilarious. I actually didn't notice that.
All right, let's go on to sex, romance, and nudity.
I disagree with this, but I bet they give it a 1.
They did give it a 1. Why do you think they gave it a 1?
They kiss at the end.
So that is in there. 2 characters kiss.
Did they say something about the Baroness's dress poofing out and it showed her knees?
No, it was from that song.
her skimpy costume she was wearing when he was trying to kill her.
Yep, her old-fashioned lingerie. So the old-fashioned lingerie and the 2 characters kissing gave it a 1. That's, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Kids wouldn't even notice.
Yeah. How about language?
Not present.
They gave it a 1. And I don't recall this, but they said there was one use of the A word. I don't recall that, but they said it exists. I don't think they're going to be lying, but
they would be, but I'm not going to. I didn't hear it. You'd think if it was there, I'd have heard it.
Right?
Unless it wasn't used in a derogatory way or a vulgar way.
Right?
I
don't know.
Were they speaking of a donkey at one point?
Maybe. That could be it too. All right. What about products and purchases? Our favorite category.
I don't remember any other. I want to say not present, but clickable.
Not present, not clickable.
Okay.
And then how about drinking, drugs, and smoking? This is our last category.
God, I gotta remember if anybody was smoking any cigars or pipes. Give it a 1.
It is a 1. It said a party scene features
Party scene.
characters
That's why I gave it a 1.
smoking cigarettes and drinking.
But I couldn't
Yep.
remember. But vaguely, I want to think that Grandpa had a pipe at one point.
I don't know.
But I do remember. I gave it a 1 because of that party.
So, parents need to know that Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is a classic family adventure film. During some scenes, the main character and others are in jeopardy, and fantasy sequences include comic pratfalls. There's also exaggerated action. A character in his outhouse like hideaway gets carried away by a zeppelin. A baroness is shot into the sky and retrieved by cannon shots, letting the air out of her billowing skirt. Villains include the clownish variety with twirling mustaches, one of whom wields a hook, and a very creepy child catcher who uses candy to lure children into cages. Younger children may find the images scary. Older kids might understand the intent and could find it funny. A woman dances in her old-fashioned lingerie, and 2 characters kiss. There's an entire kingdom made up of villainous Germanic stereotypes, elderly, snobbish white men, who aren't as menacing as they are bumbling. The film has positive messages about how there's beauty and worth to be found in everyone, and that even failure can be a positive experience if you learn from your mistakes. Themes and character strength on display include curiosity and perseverance. There's some link for a family movie night email chain if you want to join that. Let me see if there's something funny.
I don't agree with how they said that everyone in Bulgaria was portrayed as snobbish, but the townsfolk were actually quite nice people.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it
It
was
was
just
the people up in the castle.
Yep.
You got to distinguish that in your reviews, there, people.
Yeah. So there's a parent of a 3, 6, and 17-year-old named Alicia who said this is okay for 8 and older. She gave it a 3 out of 5. Said it has too much violence and too much sex.
Oh, does it?
She said, seeing that Dick Van Dyke is one of the main characters, I was expecting a dynamic film similar to Mary Poppins. I was a little disappointed that the music fell flat and the story had some strange scenes that didn't really add to the main plot line. The main review page mentions a kiss between the 2 main characters as the only sexy stuff in the movie, but there is a scene in Act 2 between the Baron and Baroness where she is only wearing a corset and pantyhose, and the Baron is trying to kill her by various means throughout the song. My 3-year-old child became scared several times throughout the film during suspenseful moments. So, watch out. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Too much sex and too much violence.
I didn't find it. I watched a different version than I did.
Let's see. G.D. Goddard is a kid. Said 4 out of 5 for 6 and older. I like this film a lot because Roald Dahl was one of the screenwriters, and it's more about the Potts family than the car. I understand that lots of people were scared of this film because of the scene where the Potts children fall for the child catcher's free candy kidnapping scheme, but I don't mind that part. I love kids.
Man, that kid catcher was they did a good job making him the absolutely creepiest character you've ever seen in a movie.
He was creepy. Yeah.
I don't know who that guy is that played him, but A+.
All right. So do you have something in mind? Because I saw something in this movie that I was like, I don't think we've done one of these yet. But did you catch that this was an Ian Fleming? This was based on an Ian Fleming book?
I'm trying to remember who Ian Fleming is.
He is also the one who wrote the James Bond books.
Oh, did he?
So I'm wondering, should we do a James
Have
Bond
we
movie?
done any James Bond movies?
I don't think we have. I don't think we've done a James Bond movie, and there's a bunch of them, and there's a bunch of ones.
Hold on. Do we want to start at the beginning and just do Doctor No, which is the first one they made? 1962.
Let's do it. I don't think I've ever seen it. Let's go.
It's got Sean Connery in it. I think we're gonna have to.
Sean Connery's fantastic.
It looks
I
like
love
a
it.
Seven Seas type movie, which is frustrating.
Okay. If you're down, sir, I'm down.
No, that sounds great. Let's do it.
All right, so we're gonna do Doctor No.
Oh, you beat me to it. So, Doctor No.
All right.
I'm not.
This is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. I've never seen this. I'm excited.
I'm gonna have to go raid my dad's movie shelf and see if he has this one. Because I remember back in the day, Christmas presents used to consist of used to give him John Wayne collections and like different other like movie collections of old movies. I don't remember I ever gave him a James Bond one. So he might have a DVD collection of James Bonds.
All right.
If not, I might have to buy one. So,
Yeah. Sure, you can find one somewhere.
we'll figure it out. Sir?
Yeah.
I think we're going to call it there.
Let's do it.
And we will see y'all's. What's a thumbs down for?
No, I mean, I was just, yeah, but